Harvard told me that red meat causes diabetes.
Right.
And it's been
Uh,
all over the news. What?
yeah.
I mean, how I can't eat red meat if it's going to give me diabetes?
No, that would be true. You shouldn't eat red meat if it did give you diabetes. The problem is it doesn't. Diabetes is chronically elevated blood glucose, Dave, and nothing else. The only thing that causes elevated blood glucose is pouring unnecessary carbohydrates down your neck. Otherwise, your body homeostasis processes will keep your blood glucose at your homeostatic set point exactly. There's no deviation from it to speak of. If it falls below that, you start to produce ketones, and that brings things back up again over the next X amount of time. If for some reason it starts to go higher, then there are compensatory mechanisms so that you actually end up on a carnivore diet with blood glucose that goes like that, as opposed to the blood glucose of someone who eats a significant amount of plant material that goes all over the place at any different time. That's the actual problem.
If meat doesn't have an impact in diabetes, how can Harvard make that claim?
Right, this is a thing called
This,
reductionism. What they're doing is they're looking at isolated relationships between a couple of cogs, those cogs having been completely and utterly removed from the context in which they exist, the grandfather clock. Having never seen or even understanding how a grandfather clock works, apparently, what these reductionists are doing is saying, on the basis of these two cogs, I can tell you everything about the grandfather clock. No, you can't. Here's what they're doing. They're saying, okay, if a cell is affected in such a way as discourages the uptake of sugar, then that is a bad thing. Because that's causing diabetes, though. Well, only if you're pouring carbohydrates down your neck. If you weren't doing that, your body would realize that your blood glucose is indeed already where it needs to be and not at anymore. I hope this is going up some flagpoles. If you get nothing else out of it, any discussion that you'll ever hear me talk about diabetes or so-called insulin resistance or anything, that kind of stuff, get this. Diabetes is chronically elevated blood glucose and nothing else. That's what it is. That's how it's diagnosed. That's what the pathological situation is, and that's what needs treating. That. Now, it's the easiest way to prevent massive over-the-top spikes upwards in your blood glucose is don't eat carbohydrates. There we go. Done. Solved.